Welcome back. In this week's episode, we discuss Elon Musk being accused of sexual misconduct, the Homeland Security's Misinformation Board getting axed after 3 weeks, and Black Lives Matter misusing donations to buy large mansions. I'm Luke.
And I'm Rody.
And this is the Right Side of the Compass podcast. So, Rody, how's your weekend?
My weekend was very nice. Very chill, relaxing. Got to meet a lot of people. It was very nice.
Nice, good to hear that.
You?
I'm good. I'm doing well. That's exactly what happened to me too. So I hear you're in New York City right now.
Yeah. It's actually 80 to 90 degrees now. So thank God it's finally, it's fine. The global warming has finally came for the season.
It's not global warming. It's that there's so much asphalt that New York heats up from the asphalt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I'm very happy it's warmer now. As I like to say, global warming is not coming soon enough.
I hear that. But that's because you live in New Jersey. If you lived in a better place, it wouldn't be that cold.
That's true.
And to be fair, you're now an old enough person that you can move to wherever you want. So it's entirely your fault that you live where you do.
Hint, hint.
There is a better state in the union where you can go.
Oh, really? What is that?
Florida.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, you could go to Florida.
I did not know that.
Yeah, you could go to Florida.
Oh, Florida's part of the union?
What? For now. For now. Anyways, so, dear listener, we want to continue bringing you great content. However, that requires your help. What we need you to do is hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. In addition, hit that notification bell to be notified when we upload new episodes. In addition, you could find us at all of your favorite podcast platforms, including Spotify, Google, Apple, etc. So there's no excuse, even if you don't want to use YouTube. We're there as well for you. If you want to reach out to us, you can reach out to us by DMing us at The Right Side of the Compass on Instagram or by commenting on the YouTube video. We worked really hard on this episode, so we hope you enjoy. Anyways, so for topic one, I know we keep on talking about Elon Musk on the podcast, but that's because he's so relevant all of a sudden. And not that he wasn't relevant beforehand, but it's just he wasn't as much in the immediate news as he is now.
Yeah, so what did he do this time?
It's what did he do last time? So what happened is that he's been on Twitter just tweeting, doing his thing. And what happened? So he says, "Oh, I'm not going to be voting for a Democrat this time. I'm going to be voting for a Republican." He said that the Democrats were the party of the kindness party, and now they're just not that anymore, so he can't continue voting for the Democrats. He's going to be voting for Republican next time around in 2022, which is not that far away, actually. It's like 6 months. Well,
it's fine. I didn't know he was part of the Democratic Party. I didn't really...
I assumed he was.
I thought maybe he could have been like independent or something like that.
No, it was very. Remember, this was a long time ago in 2016 when he was on Trump's like advisory board, and then he left for a while.
Yes.
Yeah, he was probably much more liberal back then, but I think he became a lot more based recently.
Yeah, which we've been seeing a lot of recently.
Exactly. So he says he's going to be voting Republican, and then he said, "Guys, you're going to be seeing a lot of stuff coming out. Don't believe any of it, right?" And what happens? Literally a day after he says there will be stuff coming out, someone says that a SpaceX employee was sexually harassed by Elon Musk.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. If I had $1 every time a big executive or president or someone big got accused, either right before or right after something big, I probably wouldn't be as rich as Elon Musk, but I would probably be doing very well for myself.
No, you would probably be very rich, like maybe rivaling Elon Musk. And unlike Elon and unlike Elon Musk, your wealth wouldn't be theoretical. You would actually have the money to back it up.
Yeah, but I mean, look, I'm not denouncing that there are sexual harassments and stuff like that. That's not what I'm doing at all, and I'm sure there are with big execs. I'm just not surprised that there is an accusation, whether it's true or not.
Well, I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't actually believe these allegations. And I'll tell you. But first, let's go over the story, and then I'll tell you why I don't believe them. So the story about the SpaceX employee was that allegedly she is a flight attendant on one of SpaceX's, I think maybe spaceships or airplanes, and I guess Elon Musk was in his cabin and he wanted a massage, so he asked for the the stewardess to come and massage him. I guess like on those big flights you have massage people, masseuses as they were, and he kind of insinuated that he wanted, sexual favors. He was going to buy her a horse, this, that. And she said no. And then she couldn't continue getting, you know, put up at the company. Like, she couldn't continue being elevated at the company and, moving
In
upward,
Rising,
upward mobility. That's what I was looking for, upward mobility. And so she sued SpaceX and they settled for $250,000. Which, to be fair, is a lot of money, and that does lead credence to the idea that it happened. But here's the problem with what happened. Number one, uh, allegedly the whole incident happened in 2016, and then they settled in 2018. But if she really got sexually harassed by Elon Musk, why didn't she leave immediately? She could have just left the company. Presumably,
because
she
she
had.
wanted probably the money.
Okay, so then she obviously didn't take it that seriously. Like with all due respect to someone who
But
just
also,
had.
like, if it was already settled, then what is there to do? Like,
N-
why bring it up now?
no, the idea is to bring it up if it happened and it got settled. The idea is to bring it up now because Elon Musk now wants to buy Twitter and he wants to do this. He wants it now. They're trying, because the entire time the establishment was on the defensive because Elon Musk is coming with all this money. He wants to buy Twitter. And then he stops buying Twitter because Twitter has this problem with bots and they could essentially be sued into the ground perhaps right now. And so they're trying to destroy Elon Musk. So what happens? They bring out this allegation of sexual assault. Now, this is not the first time this
Well,
happened.
is this her bringing it up, or is this just the media and the news bringing it up?
I
Because
think
I think
it's
that's like a big thing to differentiate. Like, because if it's her, then that she's bringing it up because she wants to either bring him down or wants something else. But if it's just the news, then it's like, well, like what you said before, it's just them trying to bring him down.
well, the news is bringing it up, and allegedly there's a non-disclosure agreement involved in this, which is awfully convenient because I think the media learned this, that if you have a sexual assault story like this, right? And there's a face attached to the sexual assault allegation, then essentially you have this person who then gets destroyed by the internet. And we're going to talk about a similar topic in the next segment, but essentially, if you, for example, with the Kavanaugh case, you had this Christine Blasey Ford, and she was dragged on the coals by the internet because she was making allegations that just weren't true. So now you have this woman whose friend is saying to the media that she was sexually harassed by Elon Musk. How convenient is it that there's an NDA and now we can't even look at this person, right? Everyone has the right to face their accuser, and it's very interesting because now she's being protected by this NDA. Now, obviously, it could very well be that this happened and there is, an NDA, but it's very convenient that, just as he announces that he's switching to a Republican, all of a sudden this allegation comes forth. Okay, I don't know. That's just me. What do you think?
No, I think obviously there. is a possibility that is, like you said, just a coincidence. And there's obviously, we can't know really much about it because of this NDA. These allegations with all these top officials always somewhat come out at like the perfect time.
Well,
You
that
know
well
what I
that's
mean?
because
And
it's not coming out at the perfect time. It's that there are powerful people are jockeying for positions of power, and so the people in charge felt that Elon Musk, for whatever reason, did something that they thought was unacceptable to the point where they're willing to destroy him, right? Because they have these things, right? That's why rich people always have these kind of like demons in their closet, and that people in that are in these positions of power, they know about them, and so they come and they use these demons when they think it's necessary to use them, and now they're being used against Elon Musk.
yeah, I mean, it's funny how like this is nothing new in terms of like sexual allegations. Like people will realize it's been going on for hundreds and hundreds of years. Um, I read there was like I remember reading something that the news talked about, or was it Thomas Jefferson was it when Thomas Jefferson was running against John Adams or something like that, and they would like write articles like in the news accusing each other of like sexual harassment of like or sexual things that they've done trying to bring them down. So I just find it very interesting how it's like nothing has changed.
Well, yeah, because the reality is that people find sexual misconduct particularly repulsive, particularly with children, and rightly so, which is why the Democrats are on the defense right now, because the Republicans are accusing them, rightly so in my opinion, of being a bunch of kitty diddlers. And we see the shoe on the other foot as well, that it can work the other way. It worked the other way in the Kavanaugh case. It worked the other way in Clarence Thomas. It works the other way with Donald Trump. It works the other way with lots of.
But what I find really frustrating about these allegations, if it's obviously it's terrible if it actually does happen and they are able to prove it. But let's say they go to court and they're able to prove that this person actually didn't sexually harass this person, their career is still over. So I find it terrible that that kind of happens because these people's reputation is just destroyed whether they did it or not. Now, I don't think Elon Musk's reputation is going down because of this anytime soon.
Well, that's the
But
thing. Number one, they already settled, right? So there's nothing you can really do about it. What are they going to do? Kick him off of Tesla? What they can't do that because they settled already. It's over, right? You can't punish someone for something that's been settled already. And
no, but they could get rid of Elon because hey, we don't want a bad name to our company.
could they? But then could Elon Musk sue them?
Maybe, but it's the thing is about the CEO. It's a you're voted by the by the board, by the seats, by the shareholders. So that's the people who get to choose the CEO. I mean, he'll still have shares in the company, but you have to realize there's a difference between having shares in the company and having the job. The CEO is an actual position, not like just not you're not the CEO because you have the most shares in the company. It usually tends to be that the person with the most shares tends to be the CEO, but that's not always the case.
No,
Um,
that's not what I'm asking. I'm saying that couldn't if Elon Musk were to get fired from any of his many companies, could he theoretically sue for wrongful termination?
um,
Namely,
maybe not.
if the reason he's fired is because of some allegation that came out, and then the allegations turn out not to be true, could he theoretically sue for wrongful termination? And that's a serious question.
Um, Possibly, but even if it's not true, the fact that it even happened can damage the company. So if I'm a shareholder, why would I want someone as the CEO that is damaging the company?
So it's not. So I agree with that line of logic as well. However, it does need to be said that the idea that if someone just comes out and says, "Oh, he sexually harassed me," or "he shot someone," or this or that, and there's no obligation by the company to verify if it's true, that to me smacks. That's very bad for society.
You're
If
right, but it's also like it's complicated because he's not an employee. You can't just fire an employee, for any reason. And that's when an employee can sue the company. But like this is CEO, which is kind of a different territory. Um,
Right, but I still feel, and maybe perhaps this is a very legal gray area and it needs to be kind of hammered out because we do live in an era now where people can just say whatever they want. And yes, I don't think that CEOs should be like, we need to protect them from all harm, but I don't think it is very fair that anyone can just kind of say anything about a famous person and then their career is ruined, i.e., with, Johnny Depp, Amber Heard. There should be
that literally
consequences.
happened. That literally happened with what's his name? I forget his name, but the guy from CNN. Like oh, he was having a relationship with another person, and just because of that, nothing. That he resigned from his position.
Which person was this?
Um,
Can you look this up?
yeah, it was Jeff Zucker who was the top dog in the CNN, and he resigned because of that. And that wasn't even like sexual like harassment. That was just having you know uh, being in
An
a
affair.
relationship with another, not affair, just another relationship with another uh, coworker in the office, and they believe that she was able to move up the ranks because of that. But
Right, but I think again, but that is within the company, right? That is within the company, which is to say that the company said that this is wrong, and Jeff Zucker did something which was wrong, and the company fired him. I'm not.
he didn't. They didn't fire him. He resigned.
He resigned, but then that's on him. Honestly, it's
I
not
mean,
on.
yeah, but it could be like forcefully resigned kind of thing.
Okay, so again, I'm not saying that it was correct in Jeff Zucker. I think again with Jeff Zucker, I'm not so concerned about Jeff Zucker because Jeff Zucker was in charge of the worst media company of all time, I think. And also, I'm much more willing to hold the left to their own standards than I am willing to apply their standards to us.
Uh huh.
Which is not the same as being a hypocrite. I'm saying that for us, I'm much more willing to say, hey, listen, if there was a settlement, then there was a settlement, then that's it, right? I don't want people in general being fired for things that people say on the internet. Yeah,
You're right.
I
I
just
believe that too.
yeah, I don't want that. So yeah, I don't think this happened. I think it's very 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 convenient that that this happened, and we'll see, we'll see. Anyways, so let's go on to the next topic. Remember when they started the disinformation board at the Homeland Security?
Yeah, yeah, that was big news.
It was big news like 3 weeks ago. Happened so long ago, and they're finally bringing an end to the program after many many long days of making fun of them and Ministry of Truthing them. They have
So,
shut down the program.
do you want to explain exactly kind of what happened?
Yeah. I'm going to explain, of course. So, around 1 month ago, on April 27th, the Department of Homeland Security announced there would be a disinformation. What was the? What was the exact name of the? What was it of the council? I forget. I'm blanking out on it. I know what it is. I'm gonna be. Aha! It's the Disinformation Governance Board. And the stated goal was to coordinate countering misinformation related to Homeland Security. What does it mean, Homeland Security? Who the hell knows what Homeland Security is? Regardless, it was supposed to be headed by Anina Jankowicz, who spent her entire life policing misinformation, quote unquote, which really means, you know, she has a whole repertoire of being a left wing stooge and all that stuff. Anyways, so what happens? So they announced this disinformation governance board, and the internet. did what the internet does, and they attacked Jankowicz. They digged up her old social media, looked at her previous work, and they also mocked the idea of a disinformation governance board in general with the idea of George Orwell's 1984. Specifically, there's a thing in the book called the Ministry of Truth, which is where the government polices what's true and what's not true. And so the DHS, they decided to put a halt to the program because they saw that the people were not happy with this. And this is a quote from, or not a quote, this is what the DHS spokesman said. There's a DHS spokesman who said that there was a lack of an effective response from the internet, despite the fact that for 3 weeks, the Biden administration was putting out information about what the Disinformation Governance Board actually was and what it wasn't. And like, obviously there are going to be other people that are going to talk about the Disinformation Governance Board in terms of like how bad it is and this and that. And it's not, again, of course, that's already been spoken about. I don't want to talk about that. I want to kind of talk about something new. To me, it's very interesting that he said that, because to me that means that the people in charge fundamentally don't get the internet. They fundamentally don't understand what it is. They think that the internet is just like this giant blob that creates things that are wrong. It's just not true. I mean, there are things on the internet that are not true, but that's not all it is, right? The internet is an amalgamation of the collective, like, murmurings of the people, right? It can be good, it can be bad, but it is the people in a very real way that bureaucrats in DC simply are not.
You're right. It's a collection of information, but and that's where people are getting their information. So the problem is, it's like, well, what if you're, getting the wrong information? I just saw a TikTok video which was super interesting. This guy was like, he's like, I give up in terms of like the internet and everything, because like, no, you can type in anything and it'll prove that you're right. And he just talks about is like, does coffee make you blind or something? Can it cause blindness? And he looks it up and it's like, oh, like coffee, has this and this chemical that can like cause some like blindness. And then he's like, oh well, can coffee help your eyesight become like better, or can it cure blindness? And then it like told him the right thing also. It's like, oh, coffee can help your eyesight because of this. And this is like, well, which one is it?
Right, but to me it was more of he what he was saying here is that the internet didn't do enough to defend the disinformation board. But what he doesn't understand is that his regime, the Biden administration, is not an organic grassroots regime. Now, we could talk about the election and how it wasn't fair and this, that, but regardless, the people who voted for the Biden administration were people who largely didn't care, who were told by the television and or the people they trusted that Trump was a bad guy. There was no grassroots support for Joe Biden. People don't go and sit there and yeah, Joe Biden, he's so awesome. Even the people that voted for Joe Biden don't like Joe Biden because he's not radical enough. That's the thing.
Well, because it was an election to get rid of Trump, not an election, for the president.
Agreed. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm saying that that's why the internet didn't come to Joe Biden's defense on this one, because the internet will never come to Joe Biden's defense, because Joe Biden is fundamentally not an internet person. He is not going to be defended by the people who spend all day on the internet about politics, because people on the internet who deal with politics, or even just meme people, they're not excited by Joe Biden. They're not excited by what he's doing. That's why the internet, that's why you could say what you want about Truth Social, right? But that's why Trump was able to start a whole social media platform and have people come to the social media platform, even though I think it's being rolled out pretty poorly, right? Because people care about what Trump has to say. People care what Bernie Sanders has to say. People care what Jack Posobiec has to say. People care who, by the way, came up with the Ministry of Truth meme. Or he didn't come up with it, but he was the one that spearheaded it. There are many, many political figures out there who are much more charismatic and much more exciting and tantalizing to the public and have captured the public's imagination Joe Biden really is not that, and that is why you see this. That's why you saw this grassroots kind of swelling of the Ministry of Truth and the taking down of Nina Jankowicz and the other lady who doxed the libs of TikTok. Why do you think that happened? Well, because the internet knows and the internet cares and has a certain way of doing things, and Joe Biden is not on their side and they're not on Joe Biden's side. And that to me was another proof that Joe Biden, like, that's why I don't believe that Joe Biden got 81 million votes, cuz who was like, you can't. Trump filled stadiums with people who wanted to hear him. Joe Biden couldn't. Joe Biden was in Poland. He couldn't get, like, the people were giving out free tickets to see the president of the United States in Poland. Right? No one cared. No one cared.
Yeah, so correct. No one cares about him. But so essentially, going back to what we were saying, everyone was like, "We don't like that. Uh, we don't like that. This department is creating this, you know, misinformation board." And the thing is, like, does it have to be like voted in or something, or no?
No, I think what happened is that they. I think the Department of Homeland Security, they operate pretty independently, but I think what happened was is that they didn't want the Disinformation Governance Board to be at odds with the internet, because that would be a very bad thing for the Disinformation Governance Board.
But that's the thing. It's like, well, if they create, it's kind of a, I wouldn't say catch 22, but it's, if they create this board, then they could get rid of all that chitter chatter about how they shouldn't be making this board.
Well, that's the thing. They said they don't actually have the power to do that. I think they would be more like, they have those independent fact checkers on Facebook and Twitter that say they
Yeah.
make the thing. So that's probably what they would be. They would just be a government organization that's doing it.
Yeah,
Uh,
but then it's like, well, who's fact checking the fact checkers?
well, that's why people were not taking this seriously, because already the fact checkers, they weren't taking that seriously, because who was ever like, whoever said, like, well, Politico said that what you said is not true, so that must be not true because Politico said it. No, no one talks like that. No one. No one goes, oh, the fact checkers on Facebook, they said that there's COVID misinformation. You're dealing in COVID misinformation. Okay. Okay, who cares? No one cares. Anyone who's on the internet for more than 5 minutes knows that those fact checkers are very, very biased in a very, very, like, obvious way.
Yeah. Um,
So imagine the government wasting government resources trying to make this look good. So I think what might happen is that it's not over. I think what the DHS is going to try to do is they're going to try to maybe make this what the governance board was supposed to do, and they were going to try to stick it covertly in another department and have it kind of run under the auspices of something else, and perhaps also not talk about it too much. That would, if I was in charge, that's what I would do if I was interested in doing this, of course, because I think this is a terrible idea. But if, let's say, I was in charge and I had to run such a board, that's how I would do it.
all right.
Yes, we'll see. Anyway, so let's talk about Black Lives Matter and how they stole lots of people's money. So, would you like to talk about the story, Rhodey?
So I'm kind of just curious why we're talking about it now, because this is not new news. This is, I mean, it was pretty well known that she was buying. I mean, I guess to give some background on it, the BLM over the last few years have been, really big. They've been getting a lot of donators. It's a nonprofit organization, and then it came out that the head, or should we call her the CEO? Um,
The head of the organization, I suppose.
yeah, what's her name again?
Was her name Patrice Cullors?
Yes, yeah. And she was buying, all this real estate and, multi-million dollar houses and, using that money for personal uses. And, that's a big red flag because if I'm giving money to a non-profit organization, I want that money to be going towards the cause that I'm giving it for. And so, that's a really big red flag. I mean, look, most of the money that you do donate actually goes to the operations of the nonprofit anyway. But even so, like, it should not be going towards your personal uses. I mean, that's
Certainly
what,
not on that level. Certainly not in that sort of way. Like
yeah.
like I understand. Listen, I'm willing to say that. I think this is a fair thing to say. I don't think that just because you work in nonprofit means you need to live in a box on the street. I think if you work in nonprofit and you get high enough, you should be allowed to buy a house. Okay? I think, however, you don't need to earn more than basic six figures. And by basic, I mean like under $20,000.
I mean, most CEOs of their company. I mean, I don't know. It's probably private, but most of them do have a salary. I mean, yes, they have ownership of the company, but they mostly have a salary, and they use that salary for everyday needs. But taking out way more than you should is, yeah, it's a red flag. I mean, it's even if it is allowed, like, legally, it still looks bad because, like I said before, if you're giving towards a cause, you want to see your money going towards that cause and not to your eighth house, which is like millions of dollars.
Well, just to answer the question that you asked, the reason why we're talking about this again is because the IRS, there were new IRS tax documents that leaked last week. That's why we're talking about this. So we're confirming
Was
a
it
lot of,
leaked or was it uh,
or it seems,
revealed to the public?
it seems, well, this is the Daily Beast, so I don't know. But newly revealed IRS tax documents show the social justice nonprofits leaders used white
Because I
guilt
think
money.
because they're a nonprofit, they have to. I think.
Perhaps, but the reason we're talking about it is because there's new information coming out about their IRS tax documents. That's why we're talking about it.
Uh huh. So now there's like proof that that this happened, kind of. So,
Yeah.
but what does this change though? That's what I'm wondering.
So again, it's more just like why it's just kind of dishonest. I don't know. First of all, I don't. What would Black Lives Matter be doing with the money in general? Even if they weren't using their money to buy lots of houses, what would they be using the money to do?
So, I mean, I could maybe think of a few things. I don't know, police reform or
Like you're
uh,
saying, lobbying.
lobbying, or maybe probably either not lobbying or helping out with rundown towns or areas or cities, schooling. I don't know, maybe give money towards schooling in certain districts. I don't know. That's just some stuff I'm thinking on the top of my head.
Well, with the 42 million in net assets, right? This is this is what it says on this article I'm reading. According to the group's 4990, first reported by Associated Press, BLM is worth nearly 42 million in net assets after spending more than 37 million of the 90 million it previously had on high-end real estate, familiar consultants, ambitious grants, and more. One of the more concerning situations revealed by the financial disclosures is the fact that co-founder Patrice Cullors was the foundation board's sole voting director and held no boarding meetings before stepping down last year. Under her leadership, Cullors authorized a six-figure
Oh, she
payout.
stepped down.
Yeah. Under her leadership, Cullors authorized a six-figure payout to be given to her child's father for various services, paid 1.8 million to companies owned by her relatives, and ensured that her brother Paul Cullors was one of the highest paid employees of BLM.
So they kind of dealt with it already then.
Right. So we're gonna see what happens, but this is in the continuation of the article. This is yet another wave of bad news for Colors, who has constantly denied financial impropriety, as she had previously tried to quell any growing concerns around her decision making. These tax documents not only prove that Colors lied about misusing some of the funds, such as hosting a birthday party for her son and throwing a private Biden inauguration celebration in the multi-million-dollar property intended for activists and creators, but that she did so repeatedly. So this is damning evidence. There are people who donated money to this company,
Hoping
and
for change.
yeah, and now hopefully they'll sue if if they have any backbone, they'll sue, right?
Yeah, and also it just showed what kind of organization it truly was.
Right. So this is why I don't like this type of activism, because the reality is that these people are grifters. BLM, it's not even like BLM is some real organization that you could disagree with. These people are fake.
But also at the same time, what people don't realize, even if, and just talking about nonprofit in general, yeah, like they're trying to do good deeds, but in the end of the day, it's a business. Like anything else, it's in the end of the day, it's a business, and you're trying to make money from it.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It would be one thing if, if she paid herself $1 million salary and then used the rest of the money to continue funding the organization. But I think a lot of people are going to say that this is a bit much. Like you
Of
don't
course, I'm not denying that.
like it's not even like it's because at least like paying the employees is like a legitimate business concern, right? That's a legitimate. So if she paid herself $1 million and then with that $1 million she decided she was going to go buy a mansion, okay, you know what? Maybe that's a bit dishonest. Maybe you shouldn't be raking in seven figures from that type of work. But listen, that's what people want, right? And it's not dishonest if she discloses that she makes $1 million a year. That's fine. She had $90 million. She could have paid herself $1 million. Still had $89 million with which to, I don't know, do campaigns, lobby, pay employees, pay rent, do this, do that. Like she was using that money to buy mansions and do her personal stuff with the money she wasn't even paying herself.
Yeah, the funds.
Yeah, the funds, exactly.
Yeah,
So
that's the big problem is the funds. You're using the funds and not your own money.
yeah, exactly. So she's likely going to be sued for lots of money. I think she's probably going to be put in jail for this.
I don't know. We'll wait and see.
Right. But the important thing to remember after all this, the real takeaway from all this, is that black people can commit white collar crimes too.
That is true.
Yep. Don't
That is true.
let it be said that America is an equal opportunity country where both white people and black people can embezzle lots of money and rip off lots of
Where we
well-meaning
can
good people.
both be trash.
Exactly. In America, it doesn't matter what your skin color is, you're still a piece of shit. Anyways.
And with that said, all right, well, that's our show. Thank you for joining us. Make sure to follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Rumble, and all of your other favorite podcast platforms that you want to listen to. Make sure, if you want to leave a comment, make sure to slide into our DMs or comment on any videos that we put out. And we look forward to seeing you next time.